In Rapid Fire, there's like a long form night on Saturdays, and that like teams play like their style of improv. So we created Folk Lordz as a part of like a long form festival called Bonfire through Rapid Fire, and so we just did this like improvised play that we were sort of jamming with, and we really liked it, and we wanted to like take it further. So we wanted to become like an improv group that would now tour, but we really wanted to do it right and make sure that we put a lot of research and work into Rapid Fire, or into Folk Lordz. So we went to Yellowknife and we did storytelling research with a bunch of Dene elders, because there are storytellers in Alberta, but because stories need land in order to make sense, the context of the story makes way more sense when you have the traditional land that you are on. But as I mentioned earlier, like our families were separated and people were moved around, and most of Alberta is like squares. When you're flying over it, you can just see like squares, and it's not what it used to be. So the severance from the land is harder to connect to those stories. Okay. Whereas we heard from Yellowknife, like my dad had been there before and was talking about these elders that knew these old stories, like really, really old stories. And so we wanted to go there, and it made sense that they had those old stories because a lot of the Dene still live on their traditional territory or close enough to it that they can say like, this rock is here because this trickster made it in the story.
They were lucky enough to live on the land that nobody really fucking wanted.
Yeah,
anyway.
I mean, like the people went up there for like mines of oil, and a mine like takes up a huge amount of land, but less than a massive farm tract. Right. So they got to stay in their territory. But mines are still really destroying like the lake water. And there's enough arsenic underneath Yellowknife to like kill the world 4 times over if it ever is released into the atmosphere.
Oh, well, that's good news.
Which is wild. And like the mines are always like, it won't affect the water, it won't do anything. Like there's so much arsenic down there. How could it possibly not affect the land? But we did storytelling research with these elders, and we like went to different communities. We went fishing on like the frozen lake, and it was the coldest I'd ever been. But we learned a lot about how to tell stories and why to tell stories, and it really enhanced a lot of what Folk Lordz was.
What was the biggest thing you took away from that?
We took away like why stories are told, and you tell a story. Like an elder was talking about this teaching, and I'm no elder, so this teaching is not going to be like perfect. Mm-hmm. But like when you're telling a story, when you can see the story, like your life is like a line or a road, and at one point you just turn around and you can look back on all of the different experiences of your story, and that if you ever are lost, you just turn around and you look back at your story, and then that should in there somewhere be like a lesson to help you continue on down your path. Okay. So that's like improv. That's like if you do build enough of a stronger platform at the beginning of your scene, you can continue the story because you've already done all of this work, these details as a part of a story. That's really interesting. So it really helped me like connect like improv, this thing I really love, and my culture, this thing I really love. They can feed each other, and I can now I sort of realized that like in my indigeneity doesn't have to be separate from art. It can influence everything I do, and it does at this point. Like I like thinking that I do comedy because Cree people are known for how much they like to make people laugh and how much we like to laugh. Really? That's a thing? That's like, if you ask any Cree person, they won't tell you like, oh yeah, it's like how long your hair is or how many feathers you have. Like, it's none of that. It's like, we like to laugh. Okay. People love laughing. So that's like, I can still be a proud Indigenous person and also a comedian because they feed into each other. It's all a part of who I am. So yeah, my cultural identity and my comedy identity have both been going down these paths, and sort of like Folk Lordz is when they could just really kind of fold it into each other, right? Into each other, yeah.
Don't forget, you can subscribe to our full audio episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere you find your audio podcasts. The full episodes, highlights, and our live off-the-floor performance videos can be found at our YouTube channel, and you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at the AVB Podcast. Of course, you'll find links to our incredible sponsors and this week's guest in the description below. The AVB Podcast is part of the Border City Network. Find more great content at bordercitynetwork.com. See you next time, folks. Bye-bye.